I'm Richard Pyatt. Welcome back to Pest Perspectives. From the Pest Pros of Michigan, second word there, pros. This is what we're talking about. Talking with the pros about pest control and some of the things maybe you didn't know about or don't think about when it comes to controlling the pests that might be in your environment. Associate Certified Entomologist Tony Sorrentino's back with us on Pest Perspectives. Today, we're talking about hitchhiker bugs. Now, I'm a child of the 70s, Tony, so I remember vaguely riding in my parents' car, and there'd be somebody standing on the side of the road with their thumb out. And I know we're talking to some people today who are going, what? What is that about? That was hitchhiking back then. People would thumb a ride. They'd stand on the side of the road and thumb a ride to get somewhere. And you would, yes, get in a stranger's car and ride as far as they were willing to take you toward your destination. Not the same thing, but the concept is similar here.
Picked up along the way.
Exactly. Hitchhiker bugs don't even stick their thumb out. They just hop on. And that's what we're talking about today. And the notion of that might seem a little bit scary or icky or something. So we're really trying to understand what that means. What are hitchhiker bugs anyway, Tony?
Typically, hitchhiker bugs are pests that don't always walk in or through the cracks in your foundation or fly in through an open window. Instead, they come in with us, and I refer to it as trafficking in because you pick them up at one location and you traffic them to another location. What we're talking about, they ride in on our luggage, our boxes, even our clothes or our pets. So the most common ones are like German cockroaches or bed bugs, or stored product pests like your cigarette beetles or flower beetles or Indian meal moths, bed bugs on our luggage, or you can pick them up if you're someplace where bed bugs are at. But the classic top of the list heavyweight champ for hitchhiking bugs is bed bugs.
Yeah. I think folks are probably, of the ones you just listed, they're most familiar with the notion of bed bugs. And we've done, in fact, an episode about that. So check it out when you subscribe to Pest Perspectives. You'll find it in there. But yes, we know about that one for sure. All you have to do is, set your suitcase down where some are, put your clothes down where some might be, and they gravitate toward that, and we might not even realize we're bringing them home with us.
And a gravid female bed bug could potentially then travel with you and lay eggs in your luggage or lay eggs once you get to where you're going, and that's the beginning of an infestation. Yeah. Like that's how it happens. Is the bed bugs are not going to walk into your house. You're never going to have a situation. I've never seen it in my experience where the bed bugs walked in from the outside. That could happen in a multi-family living situation where shared walls are an issue. But bed bugs you're not going to wake up one day at your home and just all of a sudden there's bed bugs. It's not like ants. It's not like flies where you leave the window open or you have the door open or the garbage is stored too close to the garage. And why are all these flies in here?
Yeah, they like to latch on and come along for the ride. All right, so bed bugs we know about. You mentioned a certain kind of cockroach too.
German cockroaches.
German cockroaches. You don't have to go to Germany for that, do you?
No. That's the terminology that's used to identify that species. They are domestic pests. They live and thrive right alongside humans. Water, sanitation conditions, standing water or poor sanitary conditions, poor garbage management, poor food storage. All of these things can be a contributing factor. Now, these pests are drawn to food. They're here looking for food. That's core essential to most pests. They're looking for a food source. So sometimes the grocery store could have them. You could get a box that had some in it. There are so many different ways that you could wind up with cockroaches at your house.
I'm trying to imagine a cockroach hitching a ride. So they're usually pretty large, are they not? Not like a bed bug that would be hidden.
Bed bugs are small. Typically, a grown adult bed bug is the size of an apple seed, or something relative to that. German cockroaches can be up to a half inch in size. So that's more substantial, but they are negatively phototrophic. They're adverse to light. They don't like to be out in the light. If you're seeing numerous cockroaches in broad daylight, you have a higher level infestation that you're dealing with.
There's not enough room in the darkness for all of them. That's what you're saying. Uh,
That's terrible.
yeah. So you mentioned that these German cockroaches are happy to be around conditions where food is available. You talked about
Hmm.
sanitary conditions, or I should say, unsanitary conditions might be where they want to be. But I think you're also saying they'll hitch a ride and go with you somewhere else.
You can traffic them just like bed bugs in food materials. They can travel in appliances, used appliances.
Oh, my.
So like if you go buy a washer or a dryer or a refrigerator or a stand-up freezer or microwave or a used TV, in some of those cases you want to be very careful if you're looking into those situations, because you could inadvertently bring them into your own home. German cockroaches are one of the most severe pests. Nothing is beyond control, but it just takes a longer period of time with an established high level infestation.
You mentioned some beetles too that like to be hitchhikers.
All the our stored product pests. I went to a client's house. She was finding these little beetles in her room. They could fly. That's an indicator. I went out on the job because we were seeking the first role, and we talked about this when we talked about stored product pests. Is I'm going to seek out the source. I'm going to figure out why are they here? What are they eating? And what do we got to do to get rid of them?
Yeah.
So as I'm walking through the house with her and she's showing me the places where the beetles are showing up, they're showing up where the light is. They're in the windowsills. They're in the kitchen. They're over here. We walked past and she said they're all in that closet too. And I looked in the closet and there's a box of milk-bone dog biscuits. And I told her right then, I said, the Beatles are in that, but we're going to keep going. This is your show. You tell me everything you need to tell me. And then after the whole inspection, we identified it. I opened up the unopened box of biscuits that she bought at a garage sale. And it was literally full hundreds and hundreds of larval stage beetles and adult beetles. And I got my HEPA vacuum out and cleaned it up, and she didn't have any more issues after that. But she inadvertently carried it into her house. She bought, that's a good deal, 2 big boxes of milk-bone dog biscuits. It's a good deal at a garage sale. So be mindful about buying even pet food, cat food, dog food, dry kibble that could be infested. You bring it to your house, you don't know about it. Now you've got these little bugs all in your house. Indian meal moths, same scenario, stored product pests, dry goods. They just hitchhike in on your stuff that you're bringing into the house. So if you start seeing little moths, if you start seeing little beetles,
Yeah.
seek out the source.
Well, you make a good point. So this lady thought she was getting a terrific deal on dog biscuits at a garage sale, and they were infested, which, tell me if I'm wrong, I suspect that means they were sitting around for a while.
That's right.
And in a pet store, that probably wouldn't be the case. The inventory turns over fast.
Actually, we service pet stores for that reason because
Yeah.
they run into these issues. There's a couple of local pet stores that we've serviced for this issue, for
Yeah.
stored product pests, for grain beetles, for cigarette beetles, for drugstore beetles, Indian meal moths. If the
Yeah.
food is there, they will share. They don't care. And I didn't mean for that whole thing to rhyme, but it worked out. So here we are.
Well, I would suspect because a pet store is more mindful of these things, they deal with them a lot faster, unlike the example of the person who brought them from somebody else's garage and had no idea. This is incredible as to how this goes. So, when it comes to those food hitchhikers that you talked about, the German cockroaches, the beetles, the meal moths, how do we check that out? How do we assure that we're not bringing them in with us, particularly if we're buying a box of dog biscuits? We can't exactly open them
You can.
right there in the store, but
And if you open it when you get home and then store it in an airtight container where the pests can't get to it,
mm,
then we're in business. And this is all sanitation and behavioral changes that are made. I'm not storing dry goods in a box that has multiple gaps, cracks, and crevices where any pest could literally get in there. It's literally taped across the top. So
Yeah.
even sealed food, I've done Indian meal moths, and the source was Quaker oatmeal, the
Yeah.
instant oatmeal packs, and they had eaten through the little paper bags. The box was sealed. So I literally, as we're going to seek out the source, we're opening up all the groceries because we couldn't solve it with traditional methods. We thought we got it. We were wrong. Back again.
Well, it's interesting you brought up oatmeal because that's the first thing I was thinking about is the boxes of cereal in your pantry.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not airtight. So the recommendation would be to try and use airtight containers as much as you can.
Airtight containers, and it adds to the freshness and stability of your food over time, too.
That's also true.
It's multifaceted: rodents, pests, moisture.
Yeah.
It helps freshness.
And keeps them out.
Yep.
All right. Now, we've talked about what complexities are involved with bed bugs and getting rid of those. Again, listen to that bed bug episode. You talked about the beetles in the example with the dog biscuits, vacuuming them up, and it was over. Is it generally that easy for some of these that like to be in dry goods?
Remove the source, and then in some cases we'll apply a residual, like to windowsills where the adults are drawn to, right? The adults in many cases aren't the ones that cause damage. Those are the nuisance ones. Those are the breeders. Those are the ones that have already lived their life cycle doing damage to the stored goods. So they're leaving. They want to go to the windowsills. So we'll do an application to control any errant. If we're vacuuming them up, a residual application and removing the source, it's over with.
All right. I'm just sort of snickering a little bit at your comment. They're leaving.
Yep.
The source is gone, so we're out of here. And you're catching them at the exit. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So if you've noticed this issue, certainly the Pest Pros of Michigan and their experts can talk a little bit about how to go about dealing with it and help you find that source and deal with it. Bed bugs, of course, is a little more complicated, and you certainly can ask about that as well. Pest Pro's website, link is in the show notes for this episode of Pest Perspectives. You can click right on through and find that and talk with Tony and the team who can come and deal with that. Boy, now you have me wanting to go open up all of my oatmeal packets and check everything.
Might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I guess not.
Drop them in a Tupperware when you're done. Go open up all those boxes. Maybe you could organize them.
Well, wouldn't that be something? That would be an added benefit. The pantry would be a lot neater, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tony Sorrentino, Pest Pros of Michigan, giving us some more pest perspectives. Thanks, Tony.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Richard.